Good evening, everybody. Welcome to your Friday night edition of Not Another Rangers podcast. I was engrossed in that tune there. I was humming away to myself as it was going there, forgetting what was happening. So tonight is probably the last meaningful football pod of the season. I was thinking as we're coming at this, after last night's disappointing defeat to Atletico Bilbao, we've now got 5 meaningless friendlies to go over the next month. So this is probably the last game we'll actually care about. We're going to talk about the ones after that. Will be just a matter of running through them till we get to the end of the season and hopefully brighter times to come. So tonight, what we're going to talk about, we've got every other episode next week. The next few weeks are going to be dominated by takeovers and sporting directors and managers and how bad each player's been, etc. I think tonight we're going to focus solely on Europe, focus solely on last night's game, the European performance over the season, and just kind of talk through some of the things that picked up for there. I don't see the point picking up in the domestic side. That's not what it's about. There's too much negativity with that as it is about even focusing that. So it's me, Scott, and Ricky this evening. How are we, Ricky?
Good, mate. Very good. It's Easter, so it's a big celebration over in Cyprus. So really? I've been avoiding Jesus all day. Jesus has been everywhere, mate. So it's been an interesting day. But obviously, Rangers ruined my first day off yesterday. But we'll get into that. But they did well in the competition. But we'll get into that, mate.
And how's you, Scott?
I'm alright, Gary. Not long back in, I was up at the new house here. We were just doing a bit of trying to get some start with a wee bit of decorating before we move in next Friday. So I've not really watched any other stuff about the game last night. Apart from watching last night, I've read nothing and seen nothing apart from a few bits and bobs in the chat because I've not been avoiding it. I've just think that last night sickened me a bit. So I've just kind of avoided it today, do you know what I mean? Because I was angry, but I wasn't angry last night.
Aye.
But I just didn't want to read anything about it because to me, it's history now. I think we need to start moving forward and I can't wait, honestly, until the season's finished. I never really felt that before, but I think this season is too many downs for me. There's been a few ups, but this season's been brutal. If it wasn't for the European run here, it'd have been a lot worse, but that's just kind of masking the problems, wasn't it?
Yeah. No, it's interesting. When we were talking in the group chat yesterday, there was a kind of strange feeling. There wasn't really, for me, there certainly wasn't the excitement of a European quarterfinal, but there also wasn't the nervousness about it. There wasn't that kind of worry. It was just a kind of game. I mean, I don't know, but to me, you were going into a game probably not as hyped up as you would be when it was Braga, maybe if I remember rightly, a couple of years ago, in that last quarterfinal. So, but and that's maybe part of symptomatic of the whole season we've had, that it's never quite felt natural. It's never felt like we've had any real buzz, never felt like we've had any real heroes, never felt there's been really, other than the odd European moment there that's been proper out of the spark. I suppose before we start, and I will say a positive here, because I was thinking that we have reached the quarterfinals of a European competition for the second time in the last, 10 years? Probably only the third time in the last 40 years. My last, in fact, since I've ever started watching Rangers, I think, I'd be right in saying. So it's a fantastic achievement. We all look very down and very critical of lots of things to do with Rangers, but that's actually a phenomenal achievement in the last 4 years to have punched above our weight, reached the quarter-final, the final, and generally the last 16 all the other occasions. So although we will be critical tonight, although we will no doubt pick our bones at some bits, I think, Ricky, it's an achievement we should remember as a really, really positive success.
No, phenomenal, mate. I mean, we'll speak about the negatives about last night because we're disappointed with this. I think Atletico Bilbao, they came with a lot of hype. They're fourth in the Spanish league. They've only lost 4 games in the league all season. But I'll be perfectly honest with you. I thought over the 2 games, I think we've beaten better teams. And I think that if we had approached the game and had a bit of luck on our side, I mean, the referees were awful in both matches. But, I mean, that's another story altogether. But getting back to your original, I mean, to get to a quarter-final, you sort of take it for granted. And I think the reason that the feeling is not there and it doesn't feel as special is because we've been so pathetic in Scotland, you know. The Scottish Cup semi-finals are this weekend and we've got a weekend off. And this is when we turn into Barcelona. For the last 5 matches of the season, we'll get 15 points and win every game 3-4-0 and prepare us for the new season. And that's why we don't have that feeling towards these players and that team. I mean, my feeling towards these players and that team is I have just had a skinful, and it's not, I've had so much. I cannot face I don't care if the new manager is Pep Guardiola. If he comes in next season, Ancelotti smoking a cigar and goes, "Oh, I've looked Tav in the eyes, and Tav's going to be my captain for next season," I swear I will chuck a rock through my TV, mate. And it's not just digging out Tavernier. The whole club, we need this takeover. We need freshness. It is a fantastic achievement to get to the quarterfinals of a European competition. But for us as Glasgow Rangers fans, we want to win trophies. We want to be in semi-finals. We want to be competing the last. We don't. I mean, the league's been over for months and months and months and months, and that cannot go on. I mean, Ferguson, I loved his press conference after the game. Not the stuff he was saying about he wants to still be the manager and that. I love that fact that he said, "This is my club. I feel the pain as much as everyone else, and I just want to see my club competing with Celtic again, competing for trophies again." He's not daft. He knows the players he's got are not good enough. He can see all the faults. He's in the dressing room. They're trying their best. They're not good enough. We know this management team is not good enough. They've been good enough to get us to the end of the season, but we need a complete and utter freshness right through the club. Even I saw pictures of the director's box, and even that looked a bit fresher than it's been. The Parks weren't there. Some of the other board members weren't there. It was Kavanagh, his gang, a lot of new people in there as well. So I liked that, what I saw. That was my best takeaway of the match last night. So we need this freshness. The club needs fresh players, fresh captain, fresh manager, fresh board, and let's get Rangers back. These guys gave it their best go. The one is 55, but ever since then, that was ages ago, it's been a complete disaster domestically. The season is over. Great achievement to get to a quarter-final, but now we need this. We need to see this freshness. Like Kerr says, the fans are exhausted. We're tired. We hate this. That's why there's no emotion going into the game last night, because we're just fed up with these players. They keep letting us down in Scotland, and that's not good enough if you're a Rangers player.
Yeah, no. You reminded me just when you're talking about the board there, and you might not have seen this, Ricky, because you've been travelling back. So you're talking about freshness in the board. So is it Sandy Easdale's bought a whole pile of shares and he's on his way back? Is that the McGill's buses are en route to Ibrox as we speak?
McGill's buses, Parks buses, it doesn't matter, man. Is there no anyone that's got a bit of stature and a bit of class about them that's got a bus company in Scotland? Come on, Kerr, start a bus company and Rangers will give you the contract, mate, and Celtic.
That's the way to go. So anyway, as you said, we good achievement, but I think we'll dig into the game a bit. So 2-0 aggregate defeat against Atletico Bilbao, 4th in the league in La Liga, behind the big three. Fantastic home record. The final's also going to be played there, and as Jose Mourinho says, there's a certain helping hand being given throughout the tournament. They are a good side. They're obviously a good side. You don't do what they do without being a good side. But so as Ricky said, over the 2 legs, a lot of things went against us. A lot of things conspired against us. They weren't that much better as on the 2 games. I don't think they played great themselves.
To be honest with you, Gary, I've watched them a few times. Because I watch some of the Spanish football, not a lot, prefer Italian stuff, but I expected them to be better than what they were. So I don't know if that's giving us some compliments or they were just poor over the 2 games, but I expected a lot more for them. Listen, last night I thought they looked better than us because I didn't think we were at the races last night. I thought we were dreadful from kick-off. I didn't think we were in it. I know we had a wee bit of spell here and there, but defensively I thought we were shocking. From middle to back, I thought we were losing runners. We were very sloppy with balls. We just weren't great. But for some reason, the media bumped up about it with this fantastic side, and I don't think now. Listen, they could go on and win it. In the last 4, they've got a chance. Everybody else, but we just weren't good enough to beat them. But I don't think you said it at the start, like you mentioned it. There's been better sides this season we performed against. Do you know what I mean? But I don't know. Maybe it's just my opinion on them. But I've watched them against us twice. I've watched them a couple of other times, and they keep the ball well. Their ball retention is really good. Their movement's good. They've got a couple of boys who are fast. The boy who scored the second goal just because Tav was sleeping again. But I didn't see enough that makes them to be this fantastic side. I know they're sitting 4th in the league, but see if you look at that competition in general, there's no many sides in it you could say are ripping it up everywhere. Maybe apart from Bodo, because where they play. But Spurs and United are awful in the league.
Yeah.
Brutal. But they're doing my ain't the only side left in Europe that's still unbeaten. But they can't buy a win in the Premier League. Do you know what I mean? I mean, Ruben Amorim said last night, and what he said about I said to me, he's actually talking about Rangers. He said we perform well in Europe because technically we've got decent players, but in our own league we fall short because of physicality and pace. And I'm thinking, is he watching Rangers or is he watching Man United? It's like us. In Europe we perform a lot better because our players are technically okay and we've got a bit more time to play. But in the league against like St Mirren, Motherwell, we can't handle the physicality for these teams. We can't handle the pressure. Hibs are the same. Aberdeen do it too. We seem to retreat, and we can't get the ball in the deck to play our own stuff. Is it because we're too weak? We didn't buy players that can play in Scottish League. We're just physically we're not there. Mentally we're not there. But we've not got any pace. We've not got any strength. But in European football, for some reason, that kind of helps you to a point. Do you know what I mean? Because the teams are playing against sit back a bit more, and the games are sometimes a bit slower. But in Scotland, where the football is not as good, but more physical and more fast, more direct, we can't handle that. We can't, and that's how we've actually put it against Celtic, because they play a bit of football, so we can match up. But when we play against teams that don't play a bit of football, maybe go direct, or just it's a fight. We struggle badly, and I think whoever comes in as manager, and I don't know if the sporting director is going to come in and have the same transfers, but the recruitment's going to be massive. But I don't know about used to, but one window is not going to solve all these problems.
It's a tough one because things can change pretty quickly. You get half a dozen players in and they hit the mark. There's never going to be a big gap between Rangers and Celtic. People do talk about a big gap, but I personally don't believe there ever is, because there's a certain ceiling in Scotland. You can only do so much anyway. So you get the right players, the right structure, the right manager, things can change pretty rapidly, I think. So I'm always more confident in that. It's not like you're playing against Man City in previous years. Anyway, we'll come back to domestics up another day. I want to focus on Europe. So team lineup, Ricky, 5-3-2, Real Maz, back and right back. And other than that, it was pretty much what we'd often talked about. Hadji was maybe the only other surprise to me. Hadji said a bar and a race, but it was pretty much going the same as he'd done in previous games in terms of team lineup.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I mean, he went back to the 5-3-2, and I hoped in my heart it was going to be another Fenerbahce away, because you've got to give him credit. He pulled out this formation in our biggest week of the season, and we managed to beat Fenerbahce, and we managed to get a result against Celtic. But last night, I just didn't like it in the first half at all, and that was before the injury. I thought Yefte was like, I will go on about how poor he was, but I've never seen a left back that defends like him in my entire life. I put on X today. A cone on the ground has got a better tackle rate than he does in a football match, mate, because one of the wingers will trip over the cone. Because the way that he stands up the winger is like, mate, like, can we get a defensive coach to sort this kid out, man? Because I've never seen anyone stand a winger up and just let him go by. I mean, that was his worst performance last night. So when I saw Yilmaz at right back, I was a little bit concerned. And like, taken away from the formation, like, our control that we did have, and we actually started the match, and like you said, I mean, Bilbao had a few half chances, but Diamande was excellent in midfield. He really was. He was doing that pirouette. He's a complete different player in Europe for Rangers than he is in Scotland. It is absolutely insane, the difference in this kid when he plays in Europe. He's phenomenal in these European games. I mean, he was doing everything in midfield, and he's got two things. Not every pass he tries comes off, but that's okay, because he's still controlling the midfield with Raskin, and also he's so unfit after 70 minutes. He's always completely knackered. I don't know if that's because he puts in so much work, but he's not a kid. So it's total bizarre how unfit he is as a professional footballer, that after 70 minutes he's completely goosed. But I thought the way we approached the game in the first half with this, like, since Gerrard came in, it's been so amazing to watch Rangers in Europe. Like, we've every game away from home, and I know Scott was going on about it last night, going, we never go for teams, but we're always in the match. We've never sat back. We've always been like trying to pass the ball, and it doesn't always come off. We've had performances where the passing's been poor, but we always try and pass the ball and create chances and stuff like that. And that first half yesterday, we were sitting back defending, and Dessers couldn't hold the ball up. It was a really people can say we almost got to half time if Suter didn't give away that penalty, but for me, I don't care what the score is. I don't like us playing like that in Europe. I want to see us on the front foot. I want to see us attacking teams. I want to see us going away from home and being the Rangers that we've been in the last 5 years. If we're going to go away and just defend and try and get 0-0s and 1-0s, that was the 90s. That was the early 2000s. Get that pish in the bin, whoever the manager is. The second half, because of circumstances, we had to go back to a 4 at the back with the 3 in midfield and the 3 up front, Wigerman, and it was a complete... Okay, we still lost the second half 1-0, but we created chances and we were in the match, and it was a much better spectacle as a Rangers fan to watch that and us actually competing than just sitting back waiting, because these teams, if you sit back 9 times out of 10 against these teams, they'll always find a way to break you down, especially when I heard that it was a bank holiday yesterday in Bilbao and everyone in the city was... Even the referee, everyone spotted the referee with the Bilbao strip on, and he was seeing that during the match. He was absolutely shocking. So it's hard enough in these matches, but you've got to attack this team and at least give yourself a chance, And for me, that was what I was most disappointed with. And that's before we get on to Barry's substitutions, because they were wild.
Lots of those other things. See, to be honest, actually, I thought the first 20 minutes we played, we were trying to do the right things. I thought that first 20 minutes we went with quite an attacking lineup, because I thought Hadji
was all right. It was all right, but we were still sitting back too much.
I think the idea was to do the right things. Maybe. You went with Hadji, which I thought was quite an attacking option.
And I thought Hadji was all right. I thought Hadji looked comfortable. I thought Hadji... I don't know why he was sacrificed. I would have took Barron back off, because I thought he was out his depth all game when he came on.
Barron later on, I think he's one to pick up on. Scott, I suppose the big talking point maybe is we'll come back to in a moment, because I want to just stick with the first 20 minutes or so and how we played. There's been a massive amount of talk today about the whole Diomande, how excellent he was for that first 20 minutes. It was his body movement, he was getting space, he was helping him, and he was technically getting the ball, and then Red Van goes down, and every single Rangers fan in the world looks around and wonders what the decision is to take him off and move Jeffrey, who can't defend, into left centre back, and shuffle them all along. And Diomande, our most creative midfielder, shoved out to the left wing back. It was a very strange tactical decision to solve a problem like Red Van, who, and if you knew Red Van was injured anyway before he started, because it did look like he wasn't that fit, surely that wasn't a tactical solution in your head at that point.
He's had done that, Gary, because he doesn't trust other players on the bench. He didn't want to put them on first. He maybe went back to people he thinks he can trust. And listen, Deal started the game well. I thought we started the game okay, but he started the well. He was getting involved. He was trying to go forward. He was trying to link up with Tierney and Dessers. Not a lot was happening right enough, because Tierney was getting double marked, and I thought he was quite poor, but Dessers was Dessers. Hadji was okay in the first 20 odd minutes, but his legs went and then he get hit in the back with the ball and he kind of went off the park. But I don't know what he done. Either to me, he doesn't trust somebody else coming in. Inciala was probably the choice to play in the centre back. I'm a proper just to buy in at centre back and just shuffle it along, or he doesn't fancy Tab out there. Do you know what I mean? I don't know why he done it. I'd even put Barron on it right wing back, because he's got a bit of legs and keep it where it was. But as soon as he moved Dio, Raskin tried to go forward more, and that's not his game. I know Raskin can play as an 8, but he likes to see things in front of him. Raskin, I thought Raskin done really well last night in the second. I thought in the second half was a perfect game. Yeah, I think it had to, because Barron was kind of lost at times, but I think him and Dio are getting a better understanding again. And you've seen that in the first 20 minutes. One knows when to go, one knows when to sit. So I don't know if it was Barry's, if it was the coaching staff, it was a decision they made at the time and just thought, we'll take this, see how this goes. Because Dio has got a lot of energy, but like you said, it seems to be for like 65, 70 minutes, and then he's just like, his battery's run done, and he's just knackered into his shatter for some reason. But I don't know why.
I mean, when Barron was coming on, I'm thinking, right, fair enough, we'll go back to a 4-3-3, which is what we've done hundreds of times. You know, and I mean that if you're going to do that, because you don't trust other players, you've got to change formation to a more sensible one like 4-3-3.
You have to. I don't know why he done it. Only he can answer that, or his coaching staff can answer that. I think it was strange, especially a game as such high importance to it. Do you know what I mean? It's a quarter-final of a European competition. To try something you've not tried before. Unless you've tried it in training. But you've not tried it in a match. And you should just went with, if you're going to play somebody, at least play somebody in there who's at their position. Don't put somebody into a makeshift role just for the sake of maybe sacrificing somebody you don't have 100% trust in. I don't know how he done that. I mean, Aaron said he might have panicked. He probably did. I don't know he was expecting a substitution, but Red Van didn't look fit. Hadji didn't look too fit either for me.
No.
I thought some of them were, but he did say before it he was struggling. I know he's been injured quite a lot this season, but I think Sterling was a big loss in the middle of the park. I think as soon as Tav went back out to the back right back, that boy Williams they beat him every time. Every time. Tav didn't know if he was going left, right, turning round. Tav was lost, man. And last night you seen Tav's legs away. He shouldn't be playing at this level. Because that boy terrorised him. He was scared. That's how Red Van done well to help him when he was on the part, but Tav was actually scared. He was backtracking at times and still. I mean, he's no slouch, but he's not as quick as he was. But the boy destroyed him, and the goal was just a usual Tav Gary, and as in no checking behind him. Now, he had 3 or 4 opportunities to check, and never checked once, then the boy just ran behind him. But only Barry Ferguson can tell you why, or McCann or Dodds or somebody can tell you why they made that decision to move Deal. Because I think that gave them more impetus in the game straight away. And as soon as they got that, we never really got it back.
The next 20 minutes, we'll come back to the next 20 minutes in a minute, because after that, the game changed that first half. But let's go back to the penalty, Ricky. I'm sure you were watching the game like all of us. I mean, Dessers, the ball, bad ball, by came out it wasn't it? Bad ball. Dessers spins round, and you look how many shirts ripped off his chest. Now, that is soft in the sense that he's kind of false, as any strikers does at the fall, but when you've got that much of a hand on somebody inside the box, it's a penalty.
It's the most frustrating thing for me, because I'm going to speak about both the penalties. Like, you watched the game last week at Ibrox, an important game. I mean, that ball comes 90 yards out of the sky, and Sterling has no clue where the ball is, and it hits his arm, and then all you hear is people go, "Oh, by the letter of the law, it's a penalty. That's the way it is in Europe. It's a penalty. Letter of the law, penalty. Everyone becomes Willie Collum. You know, they know the rules inside out. And then last night, it's a clear shirt pull in the box. It doesn't matter if Dessers' dive was pathetic, but that doesn't matter. I mean, the guy, he ripped his shirt right off his back. I mean, okay, Castor is. For me, it's been good, but for some people, it's not the best. But his shirt was ripped in half, and he had to go off the pitch and get changed. So how VAR can look at that and not give a penalty and a red card? Because if it is a red card, because he's intentionally not trying to play the ball. He's stopping the defender getting to the ball.
Is it a red card, Rick?
Yeah, 100%. No, 100% it is, because the rule. I saw the rule today. Listen, I'm Willie Collum, so didn't argue with Willie Collum, right? I saw the rule today. I read it, and
tell us why it's a red card, Ricky.
Because somebody put it on X today, and X is never ever wrong ever. And someone put, and the wording is right. The wording is, it's if you intentionally grab the shirt of the striker and you don't attempt to play the ball, so he's going to get on it, and you intentionally pull him back, and he's got a goal scoring chance in the box. It's a red card, automatic straight away.
So that is going to get it, because I've watched it a few times. Could they be sure confident he was going to get the ball?
Well, that's the thing, though. That's probably the great area.
Still a penalty.
I would say it's still, still a penalty. Yeah, right. It's still a penalty. It's definitely should have been a penalty. And the handball one's for me. The handball one, that is a penalty as well, because his arms away. It doesn't matter if the one with Sterling is last week is a penalty. How is that not a penalty? Dessers does an overhead kick. The guy's arm is like way out of his body. It hits his hand.
4 yards out for the goal line. And the ball hits
How do we? How, yeah, exactly. Clear hits him. VAR can see it. So how do we not get that? And every time it goes against us, the one a couple of seasons ago was Suter was so ridiculous. Like 1 yard away, the guy punted it off his arm, and that went against us. And that I mean, listen, I'm not gonna. I don't want this podcast to be all about the refs because Rangers were pathetic. Were pretty. I'm not going to call them pathetic. That's unfair. They were poor last night, right? It was probably our worst away performance. And this fantastic run we've been on, you've got to remember this run stretches back to last season, and we've been amazing. We've had a go at teams. We've beaten teams well. I mean, the Nice result, the Malmo result, all these great results away from home. We let ourselves down. I thought Ferguson got a lot of things wrong. I thought it was probably his worst 90 minutes in the dugout. And I thought a lot of things we as a team and as a club got very wrong yesterday for me. So the ref was poor and he was part of that. And you hope you get these decisions. But over the two legs, we didn't do enough to go through. So there's no complaints there. But still, it's very frustrating when you look back and you think to yourself, if we'd got that penalty and a red card, or even we got that penalty and went 1-0 up, then it's a complete different match. But it's done now. It should have been, for me, it should have been 2 penalties. No, I don't see how anyone can argue that there weren't penalties except for the usual Chris Sutton and Graham Spears. But apart from them, everyone else, and Michael Stewart as well, because he's another bloom.
See what I'm saying as well there. No, I'd agree. Do you know, the one thing that Scott would pick up on, you know, in all our European performances, away ones have been good. Goals change games. I mean, I keep hearing Rangers fans, and I get the principle that, I think we're better than us anyway. Goals change momentum, goals change games, goals change impact. So if you score a goal for a penalty in 17 minutes, irrespective of whether the guy gets sent off or not, it's a totally different game because the tactics change, the style changes. So I do get a lot of Rangers fans are being a bit down on it, saying that it doesn't really matter that they were better than us. But it's a huge moment in the game, huge moment in the context of when it's 0-0 away from home.
Of course it does, guys. Just like the substitution changed the game for us, I got to change the game for them. Because you don't know how the crowd would have turned. You don't know how the players would react. You've been down a man. But listen, UEFA, FIFA, whatever you want, whoever's involved in football, they've been on for years and years and years with corruption. You've heard stories that deny it, but you've seen documentaries that deny them as well. But listen, this should always going to happen. If you're playing against a team for a big country, you never get the decisions. You never. And we going about it in this a small country like Scotland. Rangers got a decision, or Celtic got a decision. It's absolute bollocks. When you go into these competitions, then you kind of see who gets the decisions. It's nothing goes your way unless there's nothing at stake. I know Mourinho mentioned it. I don't know if he was stirring the pot or if he was just thinking, but he had a point. But even he said it before when he was the manager of Roma, how corrupt officials and that way, and they get done for it a few times. And it's probably true because how they say VR looked at it but didn't want to go to screen, but how they've even sent the referee to screen? I mean, getting your shot pulled, guy, doesn't matter if Dessers goes down and does 14 working somersaults. No. He's getting his shot pulled because he's heading to the ball and the guy pulled him, so it's a penalty. Sending off, I can kind of see maybe no, maybe aye, but it's a penalty. And the second one, Ricky mentioned Sterling last week. I mean, Sterling was going for the ball, so you put your arm out. Martin Keown said it in the highlights last week. You put your hand out when you're trying to balance as a centre half. Yeah. His hand wasn't up there, his hand was down there trying to balance, but the ball came down and hit his hand. And that guy's his hand out last night, and the ball came and hit his hand. Yet, he didn't look at it. Do you know that way? It's. I mean,
so see when you watch the game,
look at the game with Casemiro penalty.
The Real Madrid Arsenal game, they were just 3 minutes at a time to watch him.
He get his foot. A guy kicked his foot next time. Penalty, right? Now that could have went either way because I thought I was quite soft. But that's what I mean. Big clubs seem to get big decisions when it matters, whereas clubs like ourselves, yes, we think we're a big club and we are in certain ways. But when it comes to UEFA and FIFA, well, no, because we don't play in a country big enough. They want teams for big countries, teams who are hosting the finals, because it's all about money for these people. And I know we bring fans and stuff, but it's different when you have got a Spanish team there and a Spanish and hosting the final, and then you've got an English team maybe making it, and that's different gravy for UEFA and for TV companies and for sponsorship deals. They don't want somebody for this country. there's corruption involved. I'm not going to sit here and say it's 100% true because I don't know that for a fact. But I'll say it to him in the face. It's not right. It shouldn't have happened. It should have been looked at. I'm not saying we'd win the match, but you never know. But there's corruption in football. You've seen it before. You've seen it at teams. You've seen it at different levels. But Spain, Germany, England, Italy, their 4 countries usually get better decisions before countries like Scotland.
No, I'd agree. And I suppose that's the point I'm trying to make. You know, at 0-0, you should have a penalty potentially at 10 men, and at 1-0. Both those things have material impact. It's not as a case you're a couple of goals down, you're trying to get back in it. They're actual instances that change the course of the game potentially. So we talked a lot about the red van going off and the change of shape and how that didn't necessarily work very well. But despite all that, they never really created anything in the first half. I think Kelly's had 1 save potentially, and Tav's a block, red vans are a block, Suter's maybe the block. But they've not really threatened particularly. So you're 30 seconds, 45 seconds from half time, ball, just a nameless ball down the side, really. For some reason, Suter gets too close and catches back his leg. And again, you know, we can criticise penalties. It's a penalty. There's no doubt it's a penalty.
No, it's a clear penalty. I mean, it's disappointing, like you said. It's just like when you win, things go for you, and when you lose, a lot of things go against you. And losing that goal just before half time was they got the goals at good times for them. You know, they got the goal right before half time, and if we'd managed to get them in at 0-0, the crowd starts to get a bit edgy. You know, Ferguson could have got. I mean, he changed a lot of things at half time, and he could have got us set up for a different second half. But they got the first goal at the right time, and they got the second goal bang on the right time, because you get that last 10 minutes. You know, it's hard to see out a game like that. It starts to get nervous. But when that second goal went in, it was just game over. You knew it was just a procession to the end. It was we were never going to get back in at 2-0. But just before half time, it's Suter. I mean, I thought he had a decent enough game. He's a siege defender. He was involved in a lot of blocks and a lot of headers away and stuff like that. But it's as soon as you connect like that and the guy gets in front of you, the big striker, he's a bit cumbersome. That big striker as well. They've got. He's one of these. We'll probably sign him when he's 30 or something, man. He's that big, clumsy tin man. You can see him coming to Rangers for sure, right? He's but anyway, he got in front of Suter, and Suter's kicked him into the stand. So clear penalty, disappointing for us, and hopefully it's one of the things.
So with just go sticking with Suter then, you know, and I seen Linda put down, you know, he's always got a mistake in him. I thought he did actually a really good game. So he makes that one mistake. Other than that, he's pretty much played really well. He's defended strongly. He's usually blocked things, headed things and stuff. But it's a repetitive thing we've talked about for the last year or two, that there's a mistake in him that causes a goal, which maybe there is for every player, and that's how goals when they happen.
I think he's a great player. I would be happy to have him and Nsiawa in our squad for next season. As I think we always need the amount of games we play. We need 5 centre backs for a full season, right? So the only 2 I would keep would be Suter and Nsiawa. And I actually saw someone make a great point about Nsiawa today. I know you're speaking about Suter, but they put that he could actually do with a good, like Kilmarnock or something, a team like that on loan for a season in Scotland, just to actually be playing every game and like get used to the Scottish game. I think we still need him. He's a good defender. I like Nsiawa. But the thing is with Suter for me is I still think we could do better and have 2 better starting centre halves. But now, I mean, like we speak about this, and we'll be speaking about it for the remaining pods towards the end of the season. You play that many games, you need 5 centre backs, and for Suter to be one for me, no problem whatsoever. But I do agree. I can see why people say he is rash at times. He does make mistakes in big games. He can be the winning player, though. He can be absolutely phenomenal. But is he good enough to be a Rangers like sort of vice captain to get you to win a title? I don't know if he is. I think he's good enough to be part of a squad, but is he good? I think people go overboard with him sometimes, and I've been guilty of it as well. I thought he was terrible at the start of the season, and then I thought he would come into an unbelievable bit of form where he total 180 his form, and he was playing fantastic. and then he got injured again, which is the old thing. He's always injury prone, and he's always picking up injuries. So for me, I would be very happy to keep Suter as part of the squad, but I would like us to sign two better defenders that are actually starting. If you were saying are starting 11 for the first game of next season, I would have him as part of the squad, but better. And I would like us to have a complete new back four, new right back, two centre backs, and we need, Jesus, man, if Yefte is anywhere near Ibrox next season, other than to let players practice free kicks, I'll be crying, mate, because he is absolutely woeful.
No, Scott, I seen you nodding. We'll talk about Suter a wee bit, so just before I move on to there, I suppose one of the challenges, with Rangers fans and big teams fans, is that every single goal we lose, we've got to blame somebody, and every single goal we scored that is good play by us. And I suppose the truth's somewhere in the middle. Suter, I think, generally speaking, performs well for us, and like any defender will make the odd mistake here and there.
I think Suter's a good defender. He's a Scottish defender. He's what we need domestically, and he does okay in Europe. And I think you have to keep him at a club, because I don't think there's a lot of people out there, especially. We're not going to come into this summer and buy 16 players and sell 16 players. That's not going to happen, because one, we don't know what the new manager wants, and two, we don't know how much finance he's got. And you know yourself, you can't just go out and spend more on early, and then you get you have FIFA looking at you, or UEFA looking at you because you're overspending shit like that. Listen, if Suter wants to stay and he gets an offer he agrees with, probably will. If he doesn't, then you look elsewhere. But I think if he gets somebody next to him, it's slightly better and maybe be a bit more dominant, then it could work. I think his problem is he's playing with different players all the time. That doesn't help him either. He's got Tavernier next to him, who's a fucking bomb scare. So that doesn't help him either. But the tackle last night is a tackle a lot of centre-backs make. Because you've been beating the turn, they don't want to let the player go, and then they just try to nick the ball. They carry nick it and then end up catching their heels. And you've seen better centre-halves make the tackles. You've seen worse centre-halves make the tackles. It's just a tackle centre-halves making. Listen, I like John Suter. I think he's good enough, and I think he will stay at the club, but I do think he needs other defensive partners to help him.
Yeah, definitely. So moving on, second half comes, Hadji goes off, as you said, whether he was fit or whether there was some other tactical reason. And we bring on NCL at that point, who should have come on 20 minutes in, Scott. Within 2 minutes, Balogun gets a head knock. And to be honest, that's fine. These things can happen, I suppose. But there's a few comments in here I'm just going to pick up. It must just be me. I watch Balogun most weeks and I don't think he's very good. He's past his best. He can't run. His passing is woeful. Just because he talks well in press conferences and says how much he loves Rangers does not a Rangers player makes anymore. And I think his time is up. Sadly for him, he's been a great guy, but we romanticise Leon Balogun in the way that he no longer can perform at, I'm afraid. And
I think Balogun's problem is, Gary, we got him before.
Right.
Because the manager deemed he wasn't good enough, and then we bring him back and he played a couple of decent games because we're struggling. And he looks good because he's still got ability. Sadly, he's not got the legs. He's a bit more injury prone his age, and he can only play maybe a certain amount of games a season. Would you keep him? Probably not, no. I think we need better. I think we need younger. I don't like buy players just because he talks like he loves the club. Listen, I talk like I love the club, but I'm not going to be playing centre forward next week because I'm not good enough.
Sorry, Barry Ferguson, we don't want him as manager.
But you know what I mean? I think it's time we started bringing in players a bit younger and a bit more suited to the way the manager wants to play. And the problem is, Gary, we're not the manager there long enough to put his own start in the team. I mean, it's actually brutal when you think back since we've last won the league, how many managers we've had, and they've all brought in different players. And we still get some of these players for when Tav's still there and he was there with Warburton. Do you know what I mean? We need somebody to come in, a bit of longevity. He can put his own stamp on the side and bring in his own players. And it might take time, but if you can see the time, if you can see over that time progress, we'll be happy with that. It's when you bring in a manager and after 6 months it's going tits up, you have to sack him. New guy comes in like this happened, and you're stuck with players that previous two managers didn't really rate, and you can't get rid of them. Do you know what I mean? It's as a club we're a bin fire, and we need to put the bin out. We need to put the fire out. Sorry, we need to start acting properly. So it might take a while, but if I can see progress, I'll be happy with that. I don't think it's going to be miracle workers to take over, but they just want the club to face in the right direction and start going in the right direction instead of going fucking all over the place and back the way.
need a strategy, a proper strategy, which is what we talk about.
Gary, you've got to get rid of the injured players first, mate. It doesn't like I'll slag Dessers to death, Will Yefte, players like that, but at least these guys are fit, man. Like players like Yilmaz, Balogun, Danilo, and I know people are going to go, how do you get rid of them because we've gave them stupid contracts, but the first players that we have to get out of the door are the sick notes that are just, they'll let you down. I mean, last night, 2 or 3 of them in one match got injured and came off. That has to be the priority, is to get rid of and Nell Sterling's injured, so you can't even move him on, but he should never have been given a new contract. But that is where you have to start your rebuild with the players that you move on, is the injured players. Hope you can get some money in for your Yilmaz's and your Balogun obviously is a free. He's going to be moved on. Haji's probably going to be moved on and stuff like that. Lawrence, all these players, mate, they're on crazy money and they're absolutely draining the club dry. The wage bill is still absolutely ridiculous, and the players that I'm probably guilty of it. I'm a bit of a ranter. I have a go at a lot of these players. But what you have to say, at least they're there and they're fit, Some of the players that are, if you look at it on a graph, you'd fall off a chair with how pathetic it is, how many games there. And you have to ask yourself, I think Ferguson's came in, you have to ask yourself with these players, do they actually want to be at Rangers? That's the thing. We've got so many players that are on loan. And I agree with the comments, you see people putting it, we'll bring in 6, we'll bring in 7 max. That is 6 or 7, and that they're probably right, but that is never ever going to turn the squad around. Like this squad needs, and Kerr was going on about the managers we've had. The problem with the managers that we keep bringing in, he keeps trusting these players, and how many managers are they going to get sacked? Van Bronckhorst is in the studio watching the game last night and stuff like that, and these players have let so many managers down. It's the same excuses. It's the same in the Old Firm games. It's the same every single season. We're not even challenging. The years of Ryan Kent, and we actually had some decent players, your Rebos and Glenn Kamara and players like that are long gone. And this squad needs nuclear bomb to it, mate. We cannot continue thinking that these guys can stay and they're going to take the club forward and 6 is going to make a difference to that squad. It needs to be a lot, even if we're trusting the young boys like Curtis, who was much better last week against the Sheep than any of the arseholes who Ferguson gave a start to. So even if we need to trust the young boys and then go that way, then for me, that's the best way that we need to see for the club going forward. A mix of youth players and new players that come in to get that spirit in the dressing room. Because Ferguson said it and other managers have said it, the dressing room's quiet as a mouse, man. There's no leaders. There's no character in that dressing room. There's nothing that's been in any of our past teams that have won titles. With players that we've won titles with players that should never have won titles, but they had spirit. They had what you need to be a Rangers player, and that's what we need to get back at the club.
I'm just before we move on, Scott, to come at you. I've seen this a headline up 10 times a day. Tav wants Barry. That's the most nonsense story I've ever heard. There was an interview after the game and they asked, when they're never going to say anything other than, yes, I like the guy, I'd want to be manager. It's complete media nonsense. I'm sure if he said, do you want Al McGregor to move in with you for something, he would say yes, because they're being asked that sort of question. But second half, Scott, actually, there's not a lot happens. We had the post, Raskin with the one that Desius made a penalty. Agaman's come on by that point. We are quite attacking. They're not doing very much at all, but we huffed and puffed. Played reasonably well. We couldn't really say we played particularly badly, but we never really looked at that extra wee spark just to get the goal. I think Cherny had a shot that was palmed out, and another date palms out to Dess as opposed to palms out to the side, and a few other bits and pieces, but not enough that really looked like we were going to get away back into it.
No, we're huffing and puffing. Listen, we never, give them a credit, never gave up. We just didn't have that wee bit of quality we needed. We didn't, and I think we probably knew that, and they knew they would get an opportunity sooner rather than later. Because they weren't great, but 1-0 up, they didn't have to find the kitchen sink at us, as they say. They could just sat and waited and hit us in the break, which kind of how they scored their second. But listen, we could have folded whenever, but it just shows you, like I say, the squad, it isn't great, but for where we got to in this trophy this season, as a bit remarkable considering, like I said before, quarter-finals is a good achievement for a club for a country like Scotland. It has, and I know people say it's not a Champions League, we know that, but it's still a good achievement getting a quarter-final in a European trophy. Yeah. And especially since how the season's went, Gary, you know yourself, you've been at a lot of games, Ricky watches all the games, and some of the games has been unbearable to watch. You've been thinking, what am I watching here? Yeah. So to get a decent run in Europe, it's been actually quite decent for them as a group, but it just shows you they can do it in one-off spells, but they can't do it consistently, like domestically. But I'll just say, listen, Barry Ferguson's going to back your abuse. I've seen comments, I've seen over the, no so much today, but over the piece since he's been, listen, Barry Ferguson came in to steady the ship till the end of the season. He had a remit to come in and do. He was never going to come in to get a job. He was never going to come in and change things dramatically because he knew he couldn't with the players he's had, because this is the same players that you've both mentioned. The previous managers have chucked him under the bus. So Ferguson's done okay. He's won one-off games. He went to Celtic Park, man. He's won away to get through to this quarter-final in Europe. He's done decent. Yeah, he's lost a few bad games as well, but I wouldn't put any blame on him or the coaching staff. I would say it's all to do with the players. The players sometimes they chuck it, sometimes they don't, sometimes rough it, sometimes aren't they? And I'm not blaming Ferguson, I'm not blaming McCann, Dawes, McGregor, any of them. I think they've come in, they've done what they've been asked to do, and fair play to them. There's 5 games left. I hope they enjoy themselves. I hope they get another few wins before the end of the season. It'll be good for them. And whatever they do after this, good luck to them. If some of them stay, they stay. If some of them at all leave, then good luck to them. Listen, they come in and filled their spot. They didn't have to. They were doing other things. They were doing other kind of work. They were all doing it, stuff like that. So, but they come in when they were asked, because I said, no, fuck that, I'm not going near this with a barge pole. But they come in, took it, and so fair play to them, because, to be honest with you, there's a lot of managers right there when they come in for the last 10 or so games, especially with some of the players on that squad, they were like, no way. And I'm talking even Sam Allardyce, no way.
I think you're right. Do you know what I mean? For me, Barry Ferguson and his team are Rangers people, and the mess we're in just to get us to the end of the season is fine. Do you know, nobody's expecting me to win his European trophies and claw back the league. Nobody's expecting me to turn them into world beaters. So, to me, what we're getting is what I expected to get: some decent performances, some good support about being a Rangers fan. But if anybody's expecting more than that, they're crazy.
I know we talked about decisions at last night's match and stuff like that, but see, at the end of the day, before he came to Rangers as manager, it was at Kilty and Alloa. I mean, that was his remit. Dodge was at Inverness, I think, and McCann was at Dundee. I could be wrong, but so they've not been at big clubs before, but they've all got a background in management. So to come in and just take this as an interim end of the season, that's all it was. That's all it ever was. We didn't expect anything when they come in, because everything's kind of done apart from Europe. So all I can say is good luck to them. Listen, whatever happens, and I just hope the board and the sporting director to pick the right manager, because we badly need somebody who actually knows what they're doing.
Yeah. No.
Can I just say, guys? I think the good thing about Ferguson is he said today that last night he said if he doesn't get the manager's job, which we probably know that he won't. It would be a bit silly. I don't think fans would be very happy that if they said they were going to try him for a few years. But I think what he'll be good at, I mean, he'll give Patrick Stewart, I think all 3 of them, if you take him, McCann and Dodds, I think they'll give Patrick Stewart, if he's still at the club, I think they'll give him a great indication of exactly what the club needs, because they've got that experience, so they might not be the people to take the club forward, but I would imagine they'll be able to say to Patrick Stewart, look, or the director of football, who's probably going to be here before we move into next season. I would imagine even McCoppin, man, I think Ferguson won't pull any prisoners. So I think if the director of football manages to sit down with him and go, right, what, from your opinion, what do you think the club needs for next season, and what do you think is good, and what do you think needs improved? I think he can be a big help in giving them all that information. So you're not bringing in like the new man. Listen, any new manager is going to want to come in and put a stamp on things and stuff like that. But if you're giving the director of football a head start and the new manager comes in and it's like, okay, it's a massive job, we need to do this, we need to do that, then hopefully that gives the club the help that it needs. And we are actually starting from a decent position going into next season, because our most important game of the season is going to be at the start of the season, which is the Champions League qualifier. For me, we've been great in Europe the last few years, but I just don't think we take these Champions League qualifiers serious enough. I think we're always a bit lackadaisical, and we did our business back to front last summer. We bought all the young players in first, and then we were expecting all these experienced players to come in, and then we found out there was no money. And then we were like going into and we got knocked out by an absolute dreadful team in Dynamo Kiev, how they managed to knock us out. So I think Ferguson can definitely help the club from that point of view, and help take the club. So when we go into next season, they have a fair idea of what the club needs.
No. And I'll start with you, Ricky. So we've talked a wee bit about the second goal, so there's no point in any massive detail, and we've only got a short time left in the pod. As you said, Dessers doesn't hold the ball up. Jeff doesn't miss the cross, and Tav's sleeping at the back, I think, in it. So summed up a lot of the season.
My three favourite players.
I think that after the game said he was too busy trying to organise things a bit, and it's his mistake. But the game's done by that point. I suppose, just I want to get a take on who played well, who didn't. I think, didn't hammer players, but Jeff, as you've talked about, struggled badly. Aaron probably struggled badly. And Dessers was one of these games we just couldn't hold the ball up.
Yeah, they're the sort of players that we need to improve quality-wise. I thought Diamande was good, but I think we need to get his fitness sorted out. And I thought Raskin, I thought in the second half, and I think Raskin gives you that dig. You know what you're getting out of Raskin, He's very good in these sort of matches. He covers a lot of ground. But I think that our players that are good get sort of dragged down by the players that just don't do the basics that they're supposed to do. If you've got full-backs who defend like ours did last night from start to finish, no matter who was in their positions, it's always going to be a long night. You need your striker to hold the ball up. And what you have to say about Dessers is Ferguson's got a soft spot for him, but you just never know what you're going to get with him. And unfortunately, last night was one of his hide-and-seek nights.
I think the first half hour he was fine, but see when we actually changed it, then fell badly.
He kind of hold it like Egerman when he came on. Like he has a little bit about him, Egerman, when he came on. You can see that it's his arena, European football. He's made for the Europa League.
Ricky, that was about 3 or 4 times I remember last night. Pass the ball or do something to somebody else. They just run him.
I know, but he's a maverick. That's what mavericks do. He's not a pattern player. He's not a player you put on the park and he's going to, like, you're controlling him from the sideline, but like a bit of string, like these other players are nowadays, and that's what fans are sick of. I don't care. I can handle Egerman being a bit frustrating now and again, because he'll stick one in the top corner and he'll get you back into the match. So that's the sort of thing that you just have to. He'll do that. It's that old throwback to a player that just the socks are rolled down and he's going to do what he wants to do. There's not enough players like that in football nowadays. So you don't want to turn him into a robot as well. But that was about it. You can see the quality. That Nico Williams was good last night. You saw the tricks.
He's probably one of the top 10 left wingers in the world.
He's going to Arsenal. They reckon he's going to Arsenal. Arsenal's going to sign him for a ridiculous amount of money. He was brilliant for Spain in the Euros, and we're saying about him skinning Tabman. He skins every. He was poor in the first game at Ibrox, but he skins every player, fullback he comes against. He's a top player. His pace is absolutely electric, so you can't really be hard on. You can be hard on Tav for the goal, but you can't be hard on him getting skinned by a player like that. Because even the first half, he was doing it to Yilmaz, Suter, Balogun, any player he was against. They didn't know what to do, and he makes intelligent runs as well. So, the 3 for me would be Egerman, Dio. And they were all right, but the rest were pretty poor. Barron was very disappointing.
What about Czerny? Do you think Czerny looks spent this season? He just looks he's played too much football and he just looks done.
I think Czerny is. I love Czerny. I'd love us to sign him, because I think with a good team he could be an unbelievable player for you. I think if you had a proper left winger with pace, throwback to what we had before, and a decent striker that can hold the ball up and link the play, I think Czerny is just you just throw money in just to keep that guy within reason. If they want 5-6 million, give them the 6 million. So he wasn't brilliant last night, but that's the way Tierney is. Dessers has an off night, so Tierney has an off night. And he got into good positions and he was trying a little bit too much. But for the money that we've got to spend, if we can bring Tierney in, get that deal done. But I don't think, if you were to ask me now to put my house on it, I don't think Tierney will be at Rangers next season. I think you'll probably go to Spain or someplace like that, France or something like that. But I would love him to be. He was pretty poor last night, but he does have games when he can be superb. And look at his numbers, mate. I mean, you just look at the end of the season, when you look at the Rangers players that have actually contributed, then he is up there with his numbers and assists for a right winger. So if you can keep that in the team and add that a proper striker and a proper left winger, then it can only help us for challenging Celtic next season.
Scott, I'm going to come to you because you've been nodding and wanting to get in for a wee while there, and I've been sticking with Ricky because I like to talk to him better. I see. So I suppose just your kind of summary of some of the players, John Tierney, obviously we've talked a lot about Tierney. To me, he just looks like he's running an empty now. It's a carrying injury. He's just played that many games. He's struggling to get that extra wee yard.
I think that's put a lot of football, Gary. Listen, I think his form's kind of dipped the last few games, but he's played more football this season than he did last season. I know he's been carrying an injury as well. Listen, I don't know if he'll be here next season. Would I take him? I would, yeah, because I think he offers us something. And I see a lot of comments, people saying he's a one-trick pony. Listen, that's probably true as well, but when you're paying 5 million, 6 million for somebody, you're not going to get a complete winger like the boy Williams. He's probably going to go for about 80, 90 million. Do you know that way? That's the market we're working in, I'm afraid. We can't buy players like that for 80, 90 million. We can't buy complete footballers. We're working in a market with very small players, as in technically maybe good and they've got pace and maybe get a good left foot and a great right foot. That's the market we're in. Even though it's 5-6 million pounds, which is a lot to us, that's the way football is. If you've got the money, you'll get your players. If you don't have the money, then you have to be clever with who you bring in. I mean, you can bring players through the academy, which you've not really done, apart from maybe Billy Rice, but then he doesn't get a game last night. Whoever thought he was man of the match in the first game until he got injured. But listen, doesn't matter who we bring in, they have to be better than what we've got, and they have to buy into the manager's way of what to play. That's the thing. It doesn't matter who the players are, they have to buy into it. I don't see that with a lot of these players. I think a lot of these players are lazy. I think a lot of these players give it when they want to give it and then don't give it when they don't. And I think a lot of them's been here far too long, Gary. I think that's the issue. A lot of them have been here at Rangers too long. I know we give them the contracts. I know Ricky said, but they're staying in the club. That's not their fault. That's not their problem. The problem is we gave them the deals. That's where the problem lies. We gave them these silly deals, and we should never give them some of them in the first place, but we did. As we've seen, a lot of these players sit in their contract because, to be honest with you, if you're getting paid 30 grand, 25 grand a week, you still got a year and a half to go, 2 years, and you're not that much hurry to leave. Would you force yourself out the door to go for half money elsewhere? I wouldn't. It's a short career for football players. You take what you can get, and it's Rangers' own fault for giving them these high wages. We should never have done it in the first place with some of them, but we did.
Yeah. Now, so I'm going to give you a wee second to think about something. So we're going to finish a high. What do you think about? Again, go back to a European performance over the season. What's the moment? What's the thing that got your bum off the seat? What's the thing that got you excited? What was the times? Because there's been lots of exciting parts during the season. I'm going to come back just for a minute, Ricky. So I'm going to just remind the punters here that we have a live show coming up on Friday the 16th of May at Oswald's Bar. There's tickets on sale. There's a link somewhere along the line. You can find it on Eventbrite. And Scott will put some of the stuff in the comments. So 16th of May, Friday night, there'll be ourselves there. Ricky will be tuning in from abroad if we can, and there'll be some special guests, raffles, all that stuff goes with it. So hopefully that'll be, and as Sniper says, actually buzzing for the live show. That's the way it should be. So hopefully it'll be a good night. So while I was plugging that, I've gave you a moment each to think about your moment of the European run, really, or moments of the European run. Ricky, you were going to go right in there, so I'm going to come to you.
Yeah, no, just Egerman against Nice when he came alive. That was when we realised that we had that we'd actually Coppin had pulled a gem out of the bag. So for me, it was their goals against Nice. I know obviously Fenerbahce was brilliant and all that. I'm not going to speak about all the moments I wet care, speak about a few. But going back to the live night, I hope you're setting it up live from the moment where you are trying to set up the microphones and stuff, man. That'll be absolutely hilarious. Because the people that are going, Gary, there's 5 brain cells that'll be on the stage and you've got 4 of them, mate. So.
Cheers, Ricky. Scott, over to you then.
I have to say, I'll probably go back to the penalty shootout against Fenerbahce because the season was kind of nearly finished for me, but I kept it alive because we weren't great against them at home. They probably should have beat us over the night, more than 2, but they never. And to win the penalty shootout was amazing because it wasn't expected. The way we performed and we took it to penalties and we get through, and it just gave you a wee bit more hype, a wee bit more. You felt good again about your club for that short space of time because we get through a round where we were expecting to lose or we've not been playing well in the league. We thought everything's doom and gloom and stuff like that, but we managed to get through, and that just gave you that wee hype again. You seen Ibrox in full flow, you seen the fans all celebrating, all being as united as one and stuff like that, and that's what you want to see more of this in the future. So I have to say, I know it was quite recently, but I would say going back to that because that night it was amazing just standing with guys who usually moan and groan next to you at the stadium and then cuddling you and jumping about, and it was great to see because usually sit for 90 minutes, 85 minutes and just criticise because it was usually rotten, but it was good to see that.
So I'll go something different. The one that sprung to mind for me was Iggyman's goal against Spurs. Just that adrenaline, and that whole spell, that adrenaline, the nervousness of playing against a team that you know so well and watch every week and match of the day and all the stuff that goes with it, and the old England Scotland stuff, and just how well we actually played on the night. And very unlucky not to get the win, but that when that ball comes across the Tav and the volley for Iggyman, and the crowd went wild. It's what you go to watch football for, and sadly there's not been enough of that this season. So. Mark, I know you've put a comment here about who do you want as manager. We'll try to focus in Europe this week. There'll be lots of shows over the next couple of weeks about manager. For me and for Ricky and Scott, we've talked about this a lot. It's less about the person and more about their attributes, and the style of play they're going to have, the structure. I don't know all the names. I don't know all the names. There's millions of names probably, but it's how they play, not who they are.
I will say, I hope it's Mourinho. I want Jose. That's what I want.
I saw someone put today that it's done deal for Jose. It was in one of these WhatsApp things I saw on X. I was laughing.
There you go. And just for you, Ricky, finish on that. Alan's comment. Desser's finish at Old Trafford too.
Asshole.
One of the moments in the season.
Keeps going on about my nostrils as well, and then to come out with a comment like that and ruin the whole pod in the night as well, man. Alan, come on. Hope you're not going to the live night. Only joking, Al. All good fun, mate. Always good.
On that, that's us for tonight. We will be back on Monday night. There's no game, so we are back on Monday night still. We're just going to come and start talking about sporting directors and managers and where the seasons went wrong and all that sort of stuff come Monday. So hope everybody has a good weekend. We will see you then, and take care of yourself. Happy Easter, everybody. Good night now.